Brooklyn News Live starts right now with breaking news.
Alrighty, hi everybody, good to be with you. I'm Jackson Mitchell. Sorry, we were having some difficulties coming on the air, but we are here and that's what matters, alrighty. You're taking a look down the left side of your screen, President Donald Trump. That's him boarding Air Force One earlier today in Washington, D.C. at Joint Base Andrews, because coming up, he's expected to speak at the top of the hour. We're going to bring you that as soon as we get it. He did have a few remarks from the White House before we left, so we want to play that out here.
I had a great conversation with the highly respected president of Syria, and all of the things having to do with Syria and that area working out very, very well. So we're very happy about it. Tom Homan meeting with the mayor, I think later, and I hear that's all going very well also. I'm going to Iowa. Some of you are coming with me, but I'm going to Iowa. And what can I say? The economy is good. It's all good. A lot of very positive news.
Mr. President, do you believe that Alex Truddy's death was justified?
Well, you know, we're doing a big investigation.
Is Kristi Noem going to step down?
No.
Mr. President,
The president of Syria, the president of Venezuela said that he has stopped taking orders from you. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I don't know exactly what's going on there, but I haven't heard that at all. No, we have a very good relationship.
What about
I'd like to see interest rates go down. Everything else is going down. We have the energy and fuel going down. We have gasoline in many states now at $1.99. Groceries are going down. We inherited a mess with very, very high prices, very, very high prices. And I will tell you, we've made a lot of progress. So we have the groceries going down. We have the energy going down. We have gasoline going down at a record clip. I want to do. We're doing well. Well, I'm looking at that whole. I love everybody. I love all of our people. I love his family, and it's a very sad situation. The border is totally secure. You know, you forget. We had a border that I inherited where millions of people were coming through. Now we have a border where no one is coming through. They to our country. We had a border that caused all of this problem. Biden caused, and the Democrats caused this problem. They allowed tens of millions of people to come in. Many of them were murderers. Many were drug dealers, drug addicts, people from mental institutions. They allowed these people to violate our country, to come into our country. And that's what we're talking about. So if you remember, we had a horrible border, the worst border we've ever had, ever in history. People were flowing through by, we think, 25 million people, not to mention drugs and everything else. And that border is absolutely closed.
Mr. President.
So well, prices are coming down. The border is really strong. You know, if you remember, I probably got elected more than anything else on the border. We had a border that was open with 25 million people coming through with an that being said, with the outset, with the other than, I would say, just to put it accurately, Minnesota, and in particular Minneapolis, because it's not all of Minnesota. Every city that we've gone to has been, like, literally crime has gone down 50, 60, 70, 80. In Washington, it's gone down. There's practically no crime. You know, Washington is a great example, but you take a look at other cities, Memphis, Tennessee, the crime is down 78%. And you know where else it's down? It's down in Minnesota. It's down in Minneapolis, and it's down very much because of the fact that we're there. So,
All right, you're taking a look there. Again, this is President Donald Trump earlier today. We'll keep our eyes peeled, of course, on that and what we learned there. Again, Donald Trump earlier today speaking. Of course, as he heads to Iowa, his speech expected to focus on likely all topics. Let's take it there live right now. This is in Clive, Iowa, where he will deliver that speech at 3 p.m. When that comes, you can join us for a Brooklyn News special report. So join us then. We'll have a full special report that's coming up right after we get off the air from this show. And due to the fact we came on a little late, we're going to make things a little quicker. Apologies. But we do, of course, though, right now want to turn to the impacts from that winter storm. They are continuing to linger. Take a look at this video on the other side of me. You'll take a look in Oxford, Mississippi. They got a lot of ice. Then in Nashville, it's almost the same exact story. There are a lot of ice, and they are
Trees that are
continuing
still
to
glazed in
see
thick ice right
impacts,
now. You can
of
see they're
course,
still slumped over.
from
While
that
the sun is out
storm,
and it's
winter
creating
storm
this
for.
beautiful
Of course,
look
it's
onto
now
the
left
trees.
Arkansas. I want to take you through their 3-day forecast where things look like there. Give me one moment, changing up your graphics for you. Right now, look at that 3-day forecast. There's a look what things look like throughout the next 3 days. We're looking at about a 10-degree load as we go into tonight. By Wednesday, a high of 30, a low of 17. By Thursday, a high of 32 and a low of 15. Let's take you to your iDrive Arkansas camera right here in Brookland. Road conditions look clear, but you see the precipitation rather on the roads, and that's the concern because as you go into an overnight low of 10 degrees, that's plenty of time for some of this that precipitation there, that water from the snow melting on the ground to become frozen. So it's going to be a story. Of course, ice is good for no one. It's causing impacts. It's going to cause an impact no matter who you are. So again, just those storms really not doing nobody good. Of course, a lot of things returning back to kind of their daily lives here in Brooklyn and in Jonesboro. Things kind of returning back to normal throughout the last few days or so. Give me one moment. I want to pull up something because I do want to go right now as we just took you
Trees
through
that are still
traffic.
glazed
There
in
is
thick
more
ice right now.
questions
You can
about a
see they're still
possible,
slumped
maybe some more
over. While
snow.
the sun is
Not
out
nothing
and it's
that is going to
creating this
amount to
beautiful look
anything,
onto the
but
trees.
possible snow showers on Friday and Sunday. That's the question now, because we're going to see another little bit of a cold blast. It's still going to be cold. You're going to need to bundle up every day. It's winter, y'all. So something to watch out for these next few days. We are learning that there has been 50 fatalities in this entire storm. Yesterday, the Arkansas Division of Emergency Management releasing a press release. We received that. They announced that there had been 2 fatalities, one from Hope, Arkansas, and an ATV accident as well there. So 50 fatalities so far from this entire storm. 2 of those accounted from Arkansas. Of course, major effects lingering right
Trees
now
that are
throughout the
still
entire
glazed in
natural
thick
state
ice right now. You
from
can see
this
they're still
storm.
slumped
I want to take a
over.
look at
While the
when we
sun
talk
is
about
out and it's
traffic. I want to take a
creating
look
this
at
beautiful
where
look
things
onto
are
the
going when
trees.
you talk about flying. We've been taking a look at this flight aware map for the last few days. I want to do it one more time here. You'll have to give me a second, 1 second to get it pulled up so we're able to take a look at it, and I'll take the graphic out for you. There's a look at the flight aware misery map, taking out the graphic there. You're still going to see a lot of impacts. I'll tell you, San Francisco, LAX, they're seeing less impact. They didn't see anything from this storm, but they were seeing impacts because all the airports on the East Coast And in the Mid-South, we're being affected, Memphis including, but you're still seeing major impacts at places like Dallas and New York City, DC. Chicago seeing a little bit of an impact there, going all the way south to Miami. They're seeing a pretty massive impact there, as well as Atlanta and Charlotte, of course. So a lot of things to be watching for. Dallas appears to be the airport experiencing the most delays right now. 791 delays that I look, and 221 cancellations. That is down because we were seeing about thousands of delays and up and close to 1,000 cancelizations. So that is down from what we were seeing earlier. Of course, now the question is, we talked about this a little bit yesterday on yesterday's edition of Brooklyn News Live. There's a line of people that their flights were canceled. Now they have to get rebooked if they were having to
Trees that
travel
are
for
still
some specific
glazed
reason.
in thick ice
So
right
that's
now.
going to
You
be
can
the
see they're
story
still
there. We're going to
slumped
take you through your
over
power
while the sun
outages
is out,
as
and it's
well. A
creating
map
this
we've been
beautiful
viewing for the
look
last
onto the
few days.
trees.
PowerOutage.com, showing you across the entire United States of America where traffic looks right, I should say, where power outages are right now. Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Georgia still seeing some impacts there. The Carolinas appear to have it together enough, at least, that we're not seeing any of them shaded in colors. Want to take a look, though, at that yellow 94,896 customers reported out there in Louisiana. Want to go over to Mississippi, close to 150,000 people without power there. In Tennessee, similar story, just less than 200,000. In Kentucky, only about 24,000 people there without power. And in Georgia, 10,000 people without power. So a story we are going to continue following, of course, where weather is, what the forecast is going to end up shaping out to be. So we're all over every aspect of that, as we have been throughout the last few days. We do want to turn our attention to another big story we're following right now. Stand by here. To another big story we're following right now, and that is in Minneapolis. So a big story that we've covered right here for so many days now. The fallout continuing after the second fatal shooting by federal agents just in recent weeks. This time killing Alex Preddy. We talked so much about it. If you're not caught up, I'll tell you, please go watch our past segments. We post them over on YouTube as soon as we're done with them. So please do that. Go watch them over on YouTube. I do want to, we are getting some new updates there because we're learning Tom Holman here now seeing video of. He has been kind of dispatched to the area as the White House is kind of pulling back a little bit. They're pulling back some federal agents there. Now Tom Holman is going to go in for Greg Bovino, who was the Border Patrol commander at large, and we're now getting some reporting that he has been fired. Take a look at this. This is what The Atlantic is reporting. They're saying Greg Bovino has lost his job. So that, again, that's just what one side of reporting that we're looking at right now. So that's just, again, one of those stories, big stories you got to follow, and we're following every aspect of it. So there's that reporting coming in from Greg Bovino, again, expected to go back to his role in El Centro, El Centro, where, according to this reporting that you're seeing on your screen from The Atlantic, he would be retiring. So, pretty interesting story there to follow, of course. So again, we're learning he has a question about losing his job. We're also now learning that there have been phone calls between Tim Walz, which is the governor of Minnesota, and the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry, to Holman. I should say, yeah, to Holman, but also Holman is having meetings with them today. I needed to get that point out, but also I was going to say to President Trump. So Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis, and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz have both now spoken to the president. I'm going to play Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt on the phone calls. You'll have to give me a minute. I want to play Caroline Leavitt. This is from yesterday. A clip, we aired the clip yesterday, so it's going to say moments ago from the White House. But this is yesterday. Caroline Leavitt talking about it, and then I'm going to play a few other clips about the phone calls as well. Take a look.
Governor Walz directly this morning, and he has outlined a clear and simple path to restoring law and order in Minnesota. Number 1, Governor Walz, Mayor Frey, and all Democrat leaders should turn over all criminal illegal aliens currently incarcerated in their prisons and jails to federal authorities, along with any illegal aliens with active warrants or known criminal histories for immediate deportation. Number 2, state and local law enforcement must agree all illegal aliens who are arrested by local police. And then thirdly, local police must assist federal aliens who are wanted for crimes, especially violent crimes. If Governor Walz and Mayor Frey implement these common sense cooperative measures that I will add have already been implemented in nearly every single other state across the country, Customs and Border Patrol will not be needed to support. ICE and local law enforcement can peacefully work together, as they are effectively doing in so many other states and jurisdictions. Additionally, President Trump is calling on the United States Congress to immediately pass legislation ending sanctuary cities once and for all.
Caroline Levitt there speaking on the phone calls that Walz and Trump had there. So we're going to continue keeping our eye on that story. I now want to play Tim Walz talking about the phone call. Take a look.
That, as we've been talking, the Associated Press reports that Border Patrol Commander Greg Bavino and some agents are expected to leave Minneapolis tomorrow. That's according to AP sources there.
That is really good news, and I acknowledge it here. That is the president following through, apparently, with our conversation.
So Republicans have said that your rhetoric is overheated and your comparisons to Nazi Germany are not helpful. You mentioned Anne Frank yesterday during that press conference. Do you see a role in dialing down the rhetoric in the state and in the country?
Look, I've been very clear about peaceful protesting. I've also been very clear since January that this type of extrajudicial or non-judicial type of activities are unacceptable. I see a strong parallel to the way these people are acting. I do know, and I want to thank, I think, Chris Medell stepping out of this governor's race. I want to note that the other candidates immediately blamed me and parroted Kristi Noem's language. I've never said anything like that, but I don't know if you watch that video, if you wouldn't come up with a comparison that these people are acting in a manner that is reflective of that time. I just have to use language that I think fits, that I can describe. It certainly wasn't law enforcement. It certainly wasn't callous behavior. It was the state, and in this case, the state being the federal government, killing an American citizen while they exercise their First Amendment rights. So I think if you're searching for people who are to blame here, it's pretty clear that that these ICE agents and the directive that they were receiving from Kristi Noem and Greg Bavino are at the top of that list.
So there you go. You got that's from NPR News. They are in Minneapolis. They're in Minnesota, rather. Speaking just Mayor Walz, I should say, Governor Walz, speaking quickly there on just the number of things that he's been accused of, and just talking about the rhetoric. They are. I do want to keep track on this phone call because Mayor Jacob Frey on X. It's a lengthy post, but we'll read it in full. He says, I spoke with President Trump today and appreciated the conversation. I expressed how much Minneapolis has benefited from our immigrant communities and was clear that my main ask is that Operation Metro Surge needs to end. The president agreed that the present situation can't continue. Some federal agents will begin leaving the area tomorrow, and I will continue pushing for the rest involved in this operation to go. Minneapolis will continue to cooperate with state and federal law enforcement on real criminal investigations, but we will not participate in unconstitutional arrest of our neighbors or enforce federal immigration law. Violent criminals should be held accountable based on the crimes they commit, not based on where they are from. I will continue working with all levels of government to keep our communities safe, keep crime down, and put Minneapolis residents first. I plan to meet with Border Czar Tom Holman tomorrow to further discuss steps, and it is our understanding that they were planning to have that meeting sometime today. So, of course, a lot to talk about there. I want to take you right now to some video we got in. This is last hour in Minneapolis. A look at the protest at the Minnesota Capitol there. You see people speaking. Let's turn the audio up for just a moment. We're gonna listen in. I do want to warn you. You never know what these protesters are gonna say. Therefore, viewer discretion is advised.
We have a duty to win. We have a duty to win. We must love and support one another. We must love and support one another. We have nothing to lose but our change. We have nothing to lose but our change. We have a duty to fight for our freedom. We have a duty to fight for our freedom. We have a duty to win. We have a duty to win. We must love and support one another. We must love and support one another.
So again, that is last hour in Minneapolis. Just wanted to listen in for just a few seconds ago. They're speaking, just protesting there at the state's capital. Melania Trump, the First Lady of the United States, is even weighing in on all of this. Take a look.
We need to unify. I'm calling for unity. I know my husband, the president, had a great call yesterday with the governor and the mayor, and they're working together to make it peaceful and without riots. I'm against the violence, so protest in peace. And we need to unify in these times.
Melania Trump there speaking on all of this. So, there's so much going on with all of this. Excuse me, during that video, my IFB or my earpiece kind of fell out there. Excuse me. Okay, so many aspects to all of this that we are following. So that's Melania Trump. When we come back, the Wall Street Journal, they came out with an article talking about the 48 hours that convinced Trump to change course in Minnesota. We're continuing our coverage of the fallout in that state, and we will have that story when we come back. That's in just a moment. You're watching Brookland News Live. We'll be back here in just a moment. Hey y'all, welcome back into Brookland News Live. Still gonna be with you. Of course, we're continuing our deeply intensive coverage, of course, into the fallout after that second fatal shooting in Minneapolis. We want to get to some reporting. I was, last night I got a notification on my phone, and it was from the Wall Street Journal, and they were reporting on this is what their story was titled. Where is it at? Here we go. This is what the story was titled. So obviously I'm invested. I wanted to know, okay, what does their reporting say? You should be able to see it on your screen here in just a moment. And their reporting, it says the 48 hours that convinced Trump to change course in Minnesota, they're saying, quote, it wasn't long. Well, actually, this does not appear to be the first. This is the first paragraph. Sorry about that, you guys. I'll take out the lower third. They say, quote, within hours of the shooting, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem alleged Preddy had attacked officers and was brandishing a gun, labeling the actions domestic terrorism. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bavino said Preddy wanted to massacre law enforcement. And Stephen Miller, the architect of Trump's aggressive immigration strategy, called Preddy a, quote, would-be assassin. Story goes on to say, it wasn't long before that narrative started to fall apart, and Trump started to get frustrated, according to administration officials. Roughly 48 hours after the shooting, Trump decided to change course, moving to pull back one of his administration's most high-profile and decisive immigration enforcement campaigns. By the end of the day Monday, Tom Homan, Trump's border czar, who advocated for a more targeted approach to deportations, was en route to Minneapolis to take charge. Bavino, the face of the hard-edge approach employed in Minnesota, was leaving the state. Trump's pivot came after Republican lawmakers and other allies raised concerns that he was squandering public support for his signature campaign issue, and senior administration officials increasingly saw the chaotic scenes in Minneapolis as a political liability. Gun rights advocates, normally steadfast allies of Trump, publicly criticized administration officials for criticizing Preddy for carrying a gun during protest activity. State officials said Preddy had a permit to carry the weapon. So that just shows you, I mean, that story, I think it all puts it into one as to what the problem was. It was these administration officials were so quickly drawing conclusions, calling this man a domestic terrorist. The American people saw the video. They say, that's not what I saw. You know, they're looking at their phone, scrolling social media, and they're saying, well, I don't see this person being a domestic terrorist. And then obviously it makes bad press for the president. So we'll see here. Of course, the president at this point in time, I'll tell you, yesterday at the press briefing, they drew the press secretary Caroline Leavitt. She drew kind of stark contrast. I don't know if that's the right language, but she kind of just drew backwards in saying the president has not labeled Preddy a domestic terrorist. She also did say that he did not commit to releasing the body cam video. So there's that. I showed you guys. I want to keep talking about this. Of course, this protest live look that we have, showing you just some of the interesting pictures that we've been getting. This is just at the Capitol, talking about all of this, and it's leading to kind of this other story as well of a partial government shutdown. Stand by with me, and I'll get you guys set up for that story, because this one's interesting too. So Democrats are, one moment. Democrats and some Republicans in the Senate now raising questions. Should we continue to fund ICE and the Department of Homeland Security amid all of this? I think it's a good question. I want to play, so we have multiple videos we want to play for you. The deadline is Friday, so 6 out of the 7, no pun intended, appropriations bills have passed the House and are now in the Senate to be passed there. The 7th one is the question on immigration, I should say DHS funding. DHS is who funds Immigration Customs Enforcements. Immigration Customs and Enforcement, I believe is what it said, or Immigration and Custom Enforcement. I think. I don't know. ICE is what I mean to go there. And now many Democrats are raising questions. I want to show you a video from one Democrat who's kind of opposing this, saying, well, I'm not really wanting to shut down the government. This is John Fetterman, of course, the Democrat from Pennsylvania. Take a look at what he's saying.
Democrats that led the pushback about the government down, and for about 45 days they kept things shut down. And if the Democrats vote to shut it down, now our entire military, I can't ever support that. I absolutely hope we can engage. I absolutely hope we can engage in a debate and make some of the kinds of common sense reforms on ICE and make it more safe, more humane, and more effective, and just focus exclusively on the criminals. I hope that's possible. But for me, I remain to be the one Democrat, at least, that refuses to shut our government down. And now, if this happens, our military won't be paid because a significant part of our government would shut down again.
So that was John Fetterman. He's one Democrat going against all of this. Then you got Amy Klobuchar, who's also a Democrat in the Senate. She says she's not going to vote for a bill that would fund ICE. Take a look at this. This is Amy Klobuchar on Meet the Press this Sunday.
We have a bill about funding them, giving them more money. I'm not voting for that, and I didn't vote for tripling their budget over this summer.
So that's just, again, that's what we're hearing from most Democrats. And then you have John Fetterman who's saying, well, I'm not going to vote for anything that would possibly shut the government down. I'll tell you, that's an interesting opinion considering there's never any conversation in between from Congress about changing it. They kind of just pass the same bills every time. I want to now play Bill Cassidy. He's a Republican from Louisiana. Let me find his statement because he's weighing in on all of this. And he's kind of taking it opposite sides here. Why can I not? Oh, I found his statement. Okay. He's taking opposite sides of all this. He's saying the events in Minneapolis are incredibly disturbing. The credibility of ICE and DHS are at stake. There must be a full joint federal and state investigation. We can trust the American people with the truth. That's what he's saying. So, and that's kind of it's likewise from other Republicans. They're not fully coming out and saying, "Well, I'm going to stop funding ICE," but that there should be investigations and kind of a calming of how they're handling things. And that's kind of been the similar thing from the executive branch from the White House. So there's that part of things. So we are going to talk more. We got this. So the ICE director, after we got off the air yesterday, we learned that the ICE director, he's now being asked to appear in court in Minnesota. We're going to play that. Plus, we have remarks from the Minnesota AG after that ruling. We're taking a quick break. Brooklyn News Live will be right back. Alrighty, welcome back here into Brookland News Live. Of course, still good to be with you. We're following a number of headlines, still continuing to follow a number of headlines. We are getting some news in, though. ICE Director Todd Lyons, right after we got off the air, the court ruling came out saying that he would have to appear in front of a federal judge. This comes, of course, after hearing to end the operation that they are doing in Minneapolis. So that's been, of course, a big story throughout the last few days. A judge now ordering again ICE Director Todd Lyons to appear in front of in federal court. So this was Chief U.S. District Judge Patrick Schultz of Minnesota, again summoning the acting ICE Director Todd Lyons to appear before him. This is on Friday, so this is coming up, you guys. Warning he could be held in contempt for defying court orders. Now, this whole entire case, it centers on ICE's quote, failure to comply with multiple rulings to release immigrants, detainees during Operation Metro Surge, unquote. Schultz said the court's patience is, quote, at an end, noting that immigrants ordered released were still in custody, often being transferred to Texas or released far from home without resources. Other federal judges, including Michael Davis and Kate Menendez, have expressed similar concerns, accusing the administration of disregarding due process and possibly targeting Minnesota for its sanctuary policies. Some judges are considering broader legal action that could curtail or halt the operation entirely. So that's what we're hearing from, again, that's Chief U.S. District Judge Patrick Schultz out of Minnesota summoning the ICE director. You see him there on your screen. We're also getting in some other news. This is just coming in within the last few moments or so about the House of Representatives. We're being told that the Florida Republican representative, Vern Buchanan, now saying he is going to retire. This news just coming into us. Want to show you, this is him on the House floor just the other day. He's again saying he won't seek re-election. He's a Republican from Florida, announcing earlier today it ends his 2-decade-long career in Washington. He's now 74 years old. He says, quote, every achievement worth doing began with listening to my constituents and fighting for their priorities. I came to Congress to solve problems, to fight for working families, and to help ensure this country remains a place where opportunity is available to everyone willing to work for it, end quote. That's something Buchanan said in a statement announcing that he will not be seeking re-election. He also goes on to say, quote, after 20 years of service, I believe it's the right time to pass the torch and begin a new chapter in my life. So again, that is a news just coming in. You're taking a look at the Florida Representative Vern Buchanan on the House floor in recent weeks. So there you go. That news just coming in. Want to take a look right now where traffic stands. A look there at the I-Drive Arkansas road conditions. You see that light pink color all throughout Northeast Arkansas. That is slush. So that's kind of what we're seeing there. And we can show you this camera. We have the I-Drive Arkansas camera here in Brookland. It shows a very similar story. The road's almost clear here in Brookland, except for where they have plowed the snow out of the way. Snow going to be here for the next little bit. The question is, are the overnight lows and the time low enough to let this precipitation turn back into ice? The big story there. Brookland Public Schools again canceling for the third day now for Wednesday. We'll have much more of your top headlines coming up right here on Brookland News Live. I want to take you to another. We're watching. Oh, President Donald Trump. He's speaking right now in Iowa. We have breaking news. Let's bring you this. Let's turn the audio up. Let's listen in.
And they'd always want to devalue. And I said, not fair that you devalue because it's hard to compete when they devalue. But they always thought, no, our dollar's...
You talked a lot about Minnesota, Mr. President. Some of your own administration officials have labeled Alex Preddy.
By the way, there's ABC fake. There's this one. She hasn't asked me a good question in years. I think a nice woman, but I don't really like her too much. Go ahead.
It is an important question, Mr. President, though.
I'd say ABC's about
Mr. President, it is an important question because you do have...
Would you like to see the dollar's value decline more? Would that be helpful to Iowa?
No, I'd want it to be just seek its own level, which is the fair thing to do. You could have it. I could have it go up, or go down like a yo-yo. I'll give you an example. Unemployment. I could create the greatest unemployment numbers or employment numbers ever. All I have to do is hire 3 million people and put them into the federal government, and you have 10 people, for one job, right?
That's right.
And what we've done is we've cut the federal employees, and they've gone to the private sector. But if I wanted, I could hire 1 million people tomorrow, put them in the federal government, and she'd be writing a story. Unbelievable employment. Unbelievable employment.
Do you agree with the assessment?
But we have great unemployment numbers.
Yeah.
I think they're great. Is there one number that's bad? Can you tell? Is there one number that's bad? There's not one.
Do you agree with the assessment from some of your own officials that Alex Preddy is a domestic terrorist or an assassin?
Well, I haven't heard that, but certainly he shouldn't have been carrying a gun. But hey, look, bottom line, everybody in this room, we view that as a very unfortunate incident. Okay, everyone, unless you're a stupid person, very, very unfortunate incident. I don't like that he had a gun. I don't like that he had 2 fully loaded magazines. That's a lot of bad stuff. And despite that, I say that's a very unfortunate.
What do you think of some Republicans saying?
You said that you are the de facto president of Venezuela. I don't know, maybe you were joking when you said that. Is the U.S. a de facto member of OPEC right now?
Well, I'll tell you what, we are a very strong presence in Venezuela. We're going to get a lot of money for Venezuela. Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world, with the exception, I think, of our country. Yep. And it's bigger than Saudi Arabia. And we had a very strong moment with Venezuela a couple of weeks ago. And we are working beautifully with Venezuela. I will tell you, they're going to do better now than they ever did, than they've done ever at any point. And we're going to be making a lot of money for them and a lot of money for our country. We have a very good relationship with the leaders of Venezuela, and we're going to keep it that way.
What are your plans, Mr. President? What are your plans for Cuba, Mr. President?
Well, we're going to see what happens with Cuba. I don't know, anybody interested in Cuba in this room? Not too many people. This is not a Cuba room, but that's all right. There are plenty of them around, especially in Miami. And Cuba will be failing pretty soon.
Sir, on Brookland,
Cuba is really a nation that's very close to failing.
Sir,
they got their money from Venezuela. They got the oil from Venezuela. They're not getting that anymore.
We were talking about the polls earlier. Clearly, your base is with you, strong as support. They're very
stronger
supportive.
than. By the way, our base is with us. I think they're the best poll numbers. The real poll numbers. I think we have the best poll numbers we've ever had. But think of it. If I were to run again, would anybody be happy? So we have the best poll numbers we've ever had. Thank you all very much.
What did you think of Greg Abbott saying he was Mr. President, did you hear from Greg Abbott saying you need to recalibrate your response? What did you make of that, sir?
Did you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty, so you are taking a live look there. That is Trump at the Machine Shed restaurant. This is in Urbandale, Iowa. In about 10 minutes or so, he was expected to give a speech in Clive, Iowa. It does not appear likely that that's going to come up. The crew arrived at about 2:25 to this restaurant. We're now seeing him speak to what appears to be, I would argue, constituents there in Des Moines, Iowa. Of course, Des Moines, Iowa, that state, the first one to have the primary. If you remember, they had their primary much before anybody else does. So for elections, there we go. We'll keep our eye peeled on this camera. What we are going to do right now, sneak in another quick break. We do have so much more news we are planning to get to, so you'll have to hold with us here. We just wanted to dip into this shot that we were getting, and it looks like they just switched the shot back to Clive, Iowa. So a lot to come up. We're going to be right back with more news, though. Welcome back into Brooklyn News Live. Still so many headlines to get to. We will monitor this camera right here in Clive, Iowa, where we do expect President Donald Trump to begin speaking in about 10 minutes. So we just saw him at that restaurant there, meaning it's going to be behind schedule. You can join us for a Brooklyn News special report when that begins. We do want to turn now to some other news we've been following throughout today. The NTSB, the National Traffic Safety Board, releasing their findings on a DC mid-air collision. If you remember, a jet. One second, let me listen. It looks like they might be doing a sound check. Stand by. Sorry about that, you guys. The NTSB, the DC mid-air collision. What I was going with there is a plane crashed into a military Black Hawk helicopter. It was, if I remember correctly, it was a smaller plane that was with American Airlines. I do want to play some of their findings for you. This is the NTSB. Again, this is their animation, the aircraft visibility. I want to play that for you. Take a look at this.
This animation presents a simulated view from the right seat of the CRJ. Partial mask generated from a three-dimensional laser scan of an exemplar aircraft is overlaid on the scene. Crew communications transcribed from the cockpit voice recorder are shown as text. Audio recordings of air traffic control communications on the airplane frequency are synchronized with the animation, with corresponding a moving map depicting the locations of both aircraft synchronized with the view from the cockpit is shown at upper left.
Jet 789, 1 star 32015. Clear takeoff, runway 1, no delay, Jet 789. Flight Jet 1, Roger, for exchange, good night. Pad 25, Roger.
Washington Tower, American 3130 with you, runway 1.
American 3130, Washington Tower, 1 star 31014, goes 25, runway 1, clear to land. Traffic may depart prior to arrival.
Okay, clear to land, runway 1, American 3130.
Jet 789, concept on Barge, good day.
Have a good day.
American 3130. American 1630 Tower, runway 1, lot void, traffic through outside from runway 33, this traffic on 6 mile final.
Line up runway 1, American 1630. American 472 by Cat, runway 1.
Wish you 5307, keep rolling out to November, ground 47, good day.
November 307.
American 1631, 1 star 32015.
Alrighty, just want to bring you back into focus here. What you're watching right now is the NTSB's findings and animation, really, on what exactly happened in this mid-air collision. This occurred back in late January, soon after the Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy was sworn in. A mid-air collision when a Black Hawk military helicopter and a CRJ collided mid-air. What you're about to see, they've disengaged autopilot, and now they are coming to the runway. If you look closely, you can see the runway there in the distance. They're about to turn towards it. And then you'll notice the Black Hawk come into the frame, and then they collide. Even though, if you remember, we're going to play another clip for you. If you remember, ATC radio, air traffic control radio, showed some acknowledgement that the Black Hawk had seen the CRJ, and there you go. That's Pat 25. That is that Black Hawk helicopter. I'm gonna turn the audio back up here.
472 by Pat's number and visual.
American 472, Washington Tower, 1 star 320 to 17.
So that is that video there. I want to play now some more video for you. So we were in the early days of Brooklyn News Live when we had before we had restructured it how it is now. We covered this. So why don't I play that for you? This is us. Let me find it. This is, yeah, Brooklyn News Live. This is us covering it on Brooklyn News Live back in February of last year.
We are following breaking news. We've been following this all week. On Wednesday night, a plane and a helicopter collided. Take a look at the dramatic video. Hold up here. Take a look. The video there shows a Bombardier CRJ-700 regional jet colliding mid-air with the Sikorsky, H-60 helicopter, now confirmed to be a U.S. military-owned Black Hawk. Now, the plane is a little different. You buy your ticket with American Airlines, while the plane is serviced by 3 in the helicopter and the all 64 aboard the jet. The collision leading to a multi-agency investigation diving into the water to recover what is left of this aircraft and that all-important black box, which is the audio recording of inside the aircraft to piece together how this all happened. And investigators are expected to look into 13 seconds of audio where it shows just 13 seconds before the crash occurred, the helicopter acknowledging that this jet was there. Listen here.
Pat 25, get the CRJ in sight. Pat 25, pass behind this CRJ. Crash, crash, crash. This is alert 3. Crash, crash, crash.
I just saw a fireball and then it was just gone. So I haven't seen anything since they hit the river, but it was a CRJ and a helicopter that hit. I would say maybe.
Truly gut-wrenching. Spencer said to be a part, as you saw there, Nancy Kerrigan alluding to the number of figure skaters involved in this plane collision. Politics already dipping their foot into all of this. Donald Trump reacting to the news in the press briefing room, saying that this could have been caused due to diversity, equity, and inclusion policies for air traffic controllers.
We must have only the highest standards for those who work in our aviation system. I changed the Obama standards from very mediocre at best to extraordinary. You remember that. Only the highest aptitude, they have to be the highest intellect and psychologically superior people were allowed to qualify for air traffic controllers.
On DEI and the claims that you've made, are you saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring? And what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else. And there are things where you have to go by brain power. You have to go by psychological quality. And psychological quality is a very important element of it.
Okay, I'm sorry. This bee is continuing to fly around the set. I'm not going to lie. I am scared of bees there. There it is. It's right on the camera now. Okay, Trump there saying it is a...
Okay, so there was that video from Brooklyn News Live there, excuse me, from Brooklyn News Live back in February. That's back when we only did it on Sundays. We have advanced so much now every weekday, not even on the weekends. So we got a lot there. So the new findings, they've been meeting throughout the day. It appears, as I was looking at it when we were in that video there, they are right now in, they're going to resume a little later. Once again, they've been taking momentary breaks here. So we'll continue to follow that. We are going to continue to follow this video coming in right now from Clive, Iowa, where we expect President Donald Trump to speak on the economy, affordability, energy, and so many other topics he'll probably address in that speech. Remember, you can join us for Brooklyn News Special Report when that starts. Another quick break. We're going to wrap it up on the other side of this with our final headline of today. Welcome back here into Brooklyn News Live. Still good to be with you. We are following our good headline. Our next headline, rather, is about TikTok. TikTok and Snap are learning late today during jury selections, rather, in Los Angeles, have now settled a lawsuit. A woman suing TikTok and a number of other companies, including Meta, saying she became addicted to social media. Meta and YouTube saying in this trial, the LA case, of course, a bellwether for at least 2,500 similar lawsuits pending in state and federal court. So a Chico, California woman now claiming she became addicted to social media starting in elementary school. Now she's suing about the essentially the addictability techniques that these social media companies are using. Meta and YouTube are facing other similar lawsuits, claiming their platforms are designed to be addictive and harmful to children. The plaintiffs in this case argue social media companies are responsible for the harm caused by their platforms, while companies argue they are protected by the First Amendment and Section 230. So, well, social media companies are, of course, facing the lawsuits. Allegedly they contribute to social media addiction, proving this in court. Of course, that raises significant challenges. How do you prove an app made you addicted? So we'll see. Keep watching this case and see what it brings. Again, TikTok and Snap settling that lawsuit. YouTube, Meta still in for it for the long run. Want to play one more video for you before we leave you. This is from First National Bank Arena. Take a look at this. This is a time lapse of the snow as it came in. Take a look at it on your screen now. Slowed down to about 30 seconds or so. There you go. Isn't that so awesome? This video from 2 weeks over on YouTube there. So again, a time lapse of the snow, and you can even see the people plowing it overnight, and you'll see it in the morning as well. They're plowing it because I believe there was not a WNBA, a college game that morning. So a lot going on there. Remember, you can join us every weekday at 2 p.m. and stick with us for a Brooklyn News special report coming up at whenever President Trump starts speaking. We're watching this camera. He was just at a diner running a few minutes late. Nothing we're not used to for this president. So join us again weekdays at 2 p.m. Central or for a special report coming in just a moment. Been so good to be with you.